If classic British crime movies were a gang, or if you would, a firm, a real lot of tough lads, you'd probably spy 1971's Get Carter in front, blasting your gran in the face, which would set things up for the absolute blowout that was The Long Good Friday. However, before that one, and after the first one that I mentioned, there was another. Another movie, one with a thrilling story, relatable characters, comic mirth, and a blisteringly bold prog rock synth score that slaps harder than your stepdad. A film just squoze right there between the two. It's 1977's The Squeeze, which is described by Google as being both a crime genre film and a crime genre film. Gee, thanks, I guess. Google ain't wrong, though. The Squeeze is a lovely bit of criminal mischief set in a fairly filthy, joyless desert of grimy grit that was London in the late 1970s. Former cop Jim Naboth is looking for solutions to his misery at the bottom of bottles. Lots of them. And he's not finding much of anything but more problems. It's there, however, beached on the shores of oblivion, that something finds him. Trouble. A former acquaintance of Jim's appears, an almost criminal from his days as a detective, and he needs help. This guy's got a problem. He's an important bloke at work. Important enough to have the keys to the safe that contains at least £1 million British pounds. This leads to his wife, his kid, even the family dog being snatched up by a gang of toughs. If there is to be any hope of getting the family back together safely, it's up to the recovering alcoholic Jim and his associates to sneak, spy, and outmaneuver this band of highly motivated thieves. But can Jim stop dropping into the pub before the bodies start dropping? The Squeeze does just about everything right, but there's a few things it goes beyond to do exceptionally well. The first of those things I appreciated was the fact that the story is straightforward. It's not a mind-bender of endless twists that make things really hard to understand. It's noir for dummies, in other words, dummies like me, and I really appreciate, and to be honest, need that. It's hard to keep up with some of these movies. The Squeeze picks key moments to deliver twists that are as satisfying as they are few, which really is as it should be. Why are you trying to outsmart your audience? You want them to like your movie, not to be like, what's going on? I'm lost. Equally as impacting as those twists were the film's one-liners and jokes, which just come quietly up from somewhere, really punch you in the gut, and then just saunter off. They leave you wondering, what the hell was that? But they also make you laugh. Stacy Keach as Jim is truly a sympathetic and relatable guy. He's a man who is trying to do what he thinks is the right thing and constantly fucks up at it. Who doesn't identify with that? The film practically opens with him nearly dying by falling down an escalator. I shouldn't laugh at that. On one particularly boozy evening. And that's where the movie starts. It starts with him being this bad off. There's a particularly devastating sequence that highlights this lowlife, and I'm not calling him a bad guy, I'm just saying his life is really disgusting. After being caught lurking in a crime boss's home, Jim is beaten, forced to strip, teased with alcohol, and then he has to walk back to his house through his neighborhood wearing only a shoe over his knob and the shame on his back. It's a memorable scene in that this isn't even the worst part. No. It starts out that bad and then it gets worse. I was horrified at the absolute loss of dignity that the character suffered here, and yet I was also strangely touched by the reactions of those around him, around Jim, the main character. How can you not like this guy after seeing him get beat up so badly and treated so poorly, and yet he keeps on trying? Truly, the power of The Squeeze is not in its thrills, it's not in its criminal surprises, it's in how deep it shows Jim going into this sadly realistic gutter of alcoholic dysfunction. This is a criminal movie that shows realism in many aspects, and that's something that you really had to appreciate. Backing all of this drama is probably the movie's best feature. It's absolutely smashing prog and electronic rock score by David Henschel. You may not have heard of David Henschel, but you've heard David Henschel. Follow me on this. David's worked with George Harrison, Ringo Starr, Queen, Mike Oldfield. Do I really need to keep going? Oh, he also engineered Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Well, listening to this movie's score, you're going to feel like you've arrived at the Wizard of Oz's violent piano and guitar bar, Its windows are all smashed out, and the drinkers within are pouring out into the emerald streets to brawl wildly. Before you know it, you're caught up in the musical riot that's so fun, it's going to be hard for you to not pick up a guitar from somewhere and smash a wizard right across the head. To put it more simply, the music's phenomenal. It sounds like Goblin's long-lost British cousin. I think my favorite musical scene is the crescendo that rises right when Jim enters a Londonian labyrinth of row homes that might be where the criminal kidnappers are hiding.
How'd you make that out?
These streets, they don't lead anywhere. There's no way out, just more streets that look the same. So we'll do it like a grid,
But what's a grid?
pattern. We'll go down every street.
Well, can't we just look down a few streets?
No, we can't, Teddy. It's a system.
You don't
Look,
know
if
it,
you want
Jim
to play
doesn't know
being
it, but the
detective,
music's saying, there might be something here. And boy, are you ever going to be entranced while you watch it. Sublime. I give the squeeze 4 gems wearing not but a shoe out of 5. Fun drinking game idea. Take a shot every time Jim does. Then maybe you too can hope to solve a crime while an awesome soundtrack blares in your head. Life sucks, but damn, if the soundtrack's that good, I'm in.
All of these things are designed to frighten a monkey.